Did a federal judge just deliver a gut punch to Republican redistricting plans and, by extension, to Donald Trump's influence in the South? Because that's exactly what happened this week, and the reverberations are only just beginning. Before we dive into the nitty-gritty of this judicial bombshell, if you want to stay on top of everything happening in U.S. politics, hit that subscribe button right now and leave a like. It really helps this channel grow and ensures you don't miss critical updates like this one. Now, let's talk Alabama. The state's Republican leadership had been pushing hard for a new congressional map, one they believed would significantly benefit their party. They were trying to implement a map drawn back in 2023, a map that had already faced scrutiny and been blocked by courts. The Supreme Court had recently issued a ruling that curbed the use of race in drawing electoral districts, a ruling that some argued, and that Alabama Republicans clearly hoped, would pave the way for them to gain an advantage. Specifically, their plan was to erase a black-majority congressional seat in the southeastern part of the state, a seat currently held by a Democrat. By doing so, they stood to gain another seat in the House of Representatives, bolstering their numbers ahead of the November elections. This wasn't just a minor tweak, this was a strategic move designed to solidify Republican control. The context here is crucial. Following the Supreme Court's Allen v. Milligan decision, which affirmed the Voting Rights Act and emphasized the need for minority representation, there was a strong pushback from Republican-led states. Trump himself has been a vocal proponent, urging GOP-controlled states across the South to aggressively redraw their congressional maps to maximize Republican gains. We've already seen this play out in Tennessee, where a black-majority district in Memphis was effectively dismantled to benefit the GOP. Similar efforts have been brewing in South Carolina, Florida, and Louisiana. Alabama was meant to be another notch on this belt of aggressive redistricting. However, a three-judge federal appeals court panel has just thrown a massive spanner in the works. They've blocked the proposed GOP-friendly map, meaning Alabama will have to continue using an older map that features two majority black districts. The judges were blunt, stating, and I quote, "Ultimately, we cannot see our way clear to requiring Alabamians to cast their votes in the 2026 elections under a districting plan tainted by intentional race-based discrimination." They went on to call the 2023 plan intentionally discriminatory. This ruling is a significant victory for voting rights advocates and for the black community in Alabama, who have fought for fair representation. Representative Shomari Figures, a Democrat from Alabama whose seat was potentially imperiled by the proposed map, celebrated the decision. He highlighted that the court recognized the state's attempt to weaken black voting power. While pleased, he acknowledged that this fight is far from over, anticipating an immediate appeal to the Supreme Court by the state's Republican leadership. Governor Kay Ivey had already scheduled House primaries under the contested map for August 11, a move that now appears to be in jeopardy. So, what does this all mean? For starters, it's a major setback for the Republican Party's redistricting agenda, at least in Alabama for now. It suggests that courts are still willing to scrutinize maps for racial discrimination, even in the wake of the Supreme Court's Allen v. Milligan ruling. The Allen decision itself was complex. It affirmed that race could be a factor, but not the predominant factor, in drawing districts to ensure minority representation. Alabama Republicans were seemingly trying to exploit the nuances of that ruling, or perhaps overstepped, leading to this judicial rebuke. The immediate impact is that the existing map, which ensures two majority black districts, will remain in place for upcoming elections, likely including the primaries scheduled for August. This protects minority voting power in the short term and allows Democrats to maintain their current electoral advantage in those districts. What it means for Donald Trump is also significant. He's been a vocal cheerleader for this aggressive redistricting strategy, seeing it as a key pathway to regaining and solidifying Republican control in Congress. This blockage in Alabama, and the potential for similar challenges elsewhere, suggests that his influence on this front might not be as potent as had hoped. It's a reminder that the legal and judicial branches can act as a significant check on political maneuvering. The likely next step, as mentioned by Representative Figures, is an appeal to the Supreme Court. This is where things could get very interesting. The Supreme Court has shown a willingness to weigh in on redistricting cases, and their previous ruling in Allen versus Milligan was split. A future ruling on this Alabama case could further clarify, or perhaps complicate, the landscape of electoral maps across the country, with profound implications for the balance of power in Congress for years to come. The fight over representation is far from over, it's just moved to a higher court. This ruling directly impacts the ability of minority communities to elect candidates of their choice, a cornerstone of the Voting Rights Act. It also affects the strategic calculations of both parties as they prepare for the midterms and the 2026 general election. Will other GOP-led states back down, or will they double down and push forward with their own maps, hoping for a different outcome at the Supreme Court? This is a pivotal moment in the ongoing struggle for fair representation in American politics. It highlights the tension between partisan advantage and the fundamental principles of democracy. So what do you think about this? Was the judge right to block the map, or should Alabama Republicans have been allowed to redraw their districts as they saw fit? Drop your opinion in the comments below. I read every single one. This decision in Alabama is a major development, and we'll be following every twist and turn. Stay tuned for more.